Mr. Alabi is an award-winning agribusiness coach, and he's the co-founder of Corporate Farmers International. So, Mr. Alabi, you're welcome. You're welcome. Take us away with branding and how to structure our business as an agribusiness startup.
All right, thank you very much. Hope I'm audible enough, moderator.
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
All right, great. Good morning once again. My name is Alabi. I'm the visionary and co-founder at Corporate Farmers International, and I'm also the author of The Rise of Digital Agriculture. It's a book that I wrote specifically for the digital space within the agricultural system. I've been in the industry for the past 20 years, so you can imagine the journey that all the things that we have seen, in the journey of agriculture way back 20 years ago, when agriculture was basically nothing. You hardly, when the other gentleman was speaking about financial institutions, talking about the limitation, the hindrances he has faced in the sector, I was just laughing here. I said, I wish he knew sometimes whereby farmers had to be spat on the back or you're stabbed, or several things you face, but again, what has made us being consistent for the past 20 years is about perseverance, the belief, the passion, the goal, the objective, and a new Nigeria whereby we can begin to see young agripreneurs that will build a structured ecosystem within the agri space, not for just any other reason, but basically for development. And that is one of the reasons that have made people like us stick so much in the industry and made us believe so much in the industry, regardless of the challenges we have faced over time. So to the topic of conversation or discussion is about branding. Well, it's beyond branding, basically. It's all about, it's in two ways. I'm going to break it in two ways. Number one, let's start from, let me pick it from the early 90s. Maybe that'll be better. Early 90s, 2000, Early 90s, if you are in the space of agriculture, agriculture is portrayed specifically as a poor man profession. So what I mean is that if you tell your father, or basically you are going to university or institutions, and you tell, and you tell your father, your parents, that you want to go study agric, the first impression is, are you okay? Surely, do you know what you want to go and do? Agriculture of all courses? That's the first impression you get. So they will even discourage you. So believe me, it was a no-no at that instances. So the challenge that was faced then was that most students that actually studied agriculture then were basically students that actually wanted to study medicine, pharmacist, physics, chemistry, doctor, medical science, but were not able to get that cut off. So they had to venture or move them to agric as a last resort. So they had no choice to just accept it, but they are not interested in it. So that is a real gap. So the challenge began during those periods where young agripreneurs were never interested in agriculture, where we never had those who were interested in agriculture, but because they had to accept it because of the fact they have to be in school. So they are mostly called, what my friends always call the frustrated jambites. They are the ones that they will dump into the agri sector or the agri department to go and study whatever class of agriculture. And I'm sure most of the folks here that are listening, many of them have been a victim of that you wanted to study something and eventually they gave you agriculture and you had to take another mind shift to be part of the ecosystem. But again, in the early 20s, what we did, so let me now give you how my own journey started before I now go into practice. So to tell you how basically I got into agriculture. I never studied agriculture from my BSc, let me say from my ND levels to BSc to the masters. No, I never studied agriculture at all. My first certification was on insurance. Before I did accounting, then masters and all that. Now, what got me into agriculture was the fact that my grandfather has a cocoa farm in Ogun State. So most holidays, I do follow my grandfather to his farm. Then we leave on holidays, but we move from Lagos, we go to Ogun State, we go to his farm. I just follow him most evenings with his umbrella. So I got engaged in the whole activity. I see how he do it, how they come to buy from his farm, and it became exciting to me. So most times in December, I always want to go to my grandfather's place in Ogun State and want to be part of the whole process. That got me excited, but I never understood the business of it. But it got me excited in what he was doing. So when I finished school, basically my BSc, and a couple of things kept creeping into my mind, and I kept asking myself. Then it was hard to get job. Even till now, you have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So I kept asking myself that, look, what sector of the economy can actually help provide employment to Nigerians or to the teeming youth? Then I did the research, and I saw that it's only agriculture that can help in providing quality employment to the large number of youth in agriculture. Reason because it had an extensive value chain, which we have not tapped yet. We are still scratching the surface. So that brought me into agriculture about 20 years ago, and fully then I started up writing a blog. That was how I started. And blog in 20 years ago, if you remember, some of us, likes of the Linda, before you have your Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you have blogs that were giving articles in those days. We had the Linda IKG and the other blogs then, but those are the blogs that you read what is going on at that point in time to get current articles, to get updates on what is happening, entertainment, lifestyle. So I created a blog. I developed a blog called corporatefarmers.blogspot.com. That was a blog I developed. So, but today we thank God that the blog has automatically transformed itself with the power of God and with partners, my directors, friends, and families. The blog has been able to, my co-founder has been able to, transform into a multi-millionaire company today, and we thank God for that. But it was a journey. It was a journey that had to entail branding, consistency, perseverance, purpose, identification, and also passion. That was the journey for us. As I said initially, I never studied agriculture. So sometimes if you have your BS in agriculture, I do envy folks. Sometimes they ask me, what do you regret most in life? I said, what I regret most was that I never studied agriculture. But that doesn't mean that I'm not putting all I learned from my university days and ND days, to use now. But because it now took me another 20 years to learn on the field, to learn the practicals, theoreticals, the strategy of the business of agriculture. That was what I did. It took me 20 years to learn the field work and to learn the other value chain, to be a master of the game. So today, if you want to reckon for those in the industry, definitely Alabi names will definitely come to mind. Not because, but because we've been there for years, we've persisted, we've seen the gain, we've gone through the pain of the sector. So now, the question is, for those who want to venture into the sector, how can you specifically brand yourself? How can you specifically make yourself unique in the ecosystem? Now, today, I'm so glad that today we have a large number of agripreneurs that are excited to be in the value chain. But the problem we're facing right now is about identification. How can you separate yourself from others? I see a large number of youth want to do the same thing, within the value chain. So today, if you're looking at crop production, for example, we have large numbers of younger folks that are into horticulture. That's the vegetables, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the habanero pepper. We have a large number of them, that are doing that. Even sometimes when I visit my friend's farm, Samson or Boli in Abeokuta, those who are actually into he has this work and learn, you see a large number of youths there that are actually doing this particular part of business. And also we have the poultry value chain. Poultry value chain is there. We have a large number of youths also that are into the poultry value chain. But the question is, as an agripreneur, how can you specifically brand yourself out from the circle? Number one, You must be able to identify yourself. Now, what I mean is this. If you are a group of friends that want to start a particular value chain, a venture, it could be goat production. That's part of livestock. Goat production. It could be poultry. It could be vegetarian. Let me pick you one by one. Let me pick livestock first. It could be fish production, aqua. It could be livestock in terms of goats, cows, sheep, other value chain within the livestock industry, pigs and all that. You need to make yourself unique. How do you do that? Now, the first thing you need to do is to take advantage of what Obasanjo has given us, the internet. The internet is the tool that will take you to places where your leg will not be able to reach. Now, today, sometimes, in the agri space, the technicality of the sector, as I said, it's technical of the sector has made some people not really understand the sector. But if you can understand the technicality of the value chain you are playing in or you are venturing in, it's easier for you to express yourself. It's easier for you to now convert that expression into a money-making machine. So what do I mean? So the first thing you do, identify the value chain you want to venture into, no matter how small it is. It could be just, let me say, for example, we want to start with poultry. It could be just probably 100 birds or 200 birds. Come together, or if it's you, be sure that you have the knowledge on that particular value chain. So it means that if you want to start a venture within the business ecosystem, don't venture into it because your friend is doing it. Do it because you have an understanding of the value chain. And that is why you see that most agripreneurs over time fail in a span of 1 to 5 years. Reason because knowledge is lost. But again, with getting the knowledge, the second thing you need to do is that if you have not even put your capital in it, go to where a structured farm or a structured agribusiness enterprise that particular value chain you want to do is being done there, or it's being actually is a business there. So it's been carried out there as a business. So the likes of bigger farms like Ajala farms, a lot of farms that I can't remember the names. Farms that you feel that you can actually learn. So go there. Learn for what we call, you could do a volunteering service for 3 months, peg. 3 months peg. Learn the value chain. Once you learn the value chain, you learn two things. You learn the field work, you also learn the hands-on. So it means that you learn the theoretical part of it while you learn the physical part of it. So it makes it easier for you to now venture into it fully and be successful in it. Because by the time you start your own, the mistakes that you've learned, you will not be able to repeat when you're starting your particular business. So once you've learned with a peg of 3 months, then you can now say, okay, how much is my capital? Let's say my capital is $500,000 and you want to venture into it, either you or probably friends. But most times I do advise a combination or aggregation of folks to come together so that the risk can be minimal on you. When you have friends with the same like minds that come together to form a venture, it's quite better for you because you won't be able to carry out the risks on your own. So you can share the risk among yourselves. So if you come together with $500,000, first advice, don't go to the bank to do that. You can gather from family, friends, and all that. Then start off. Now, you start off because you have the understanding. Now, know that the three of you may not have equal understanding. There are some that will have the practical knowledge. There are some among you that will have the theoretical knowledge. And some need to have the markets and the economic value chain. So it means that once you guys are focusing on production, other folks are focusing on marketing. So that you carry the same burden together and not make profit or not, be successful at the end. So you break it into division of labor. One person is focused on production, other marketing, other distribution. So just find out yourself how that can be done. So once that is done, it's easier for you to break even your first year. Reason because number one, you've gotten the knowledge. Number two, you have what we call a distribution of work or labor within the value chain. Then three, you need to have proper accountability of your enterprise and business returns. Because what kills agripreneurs is non-accountability of their products, or non-accountability of the value chain they're venturing into, or non-accountability of the business, who's responsible. Those are things that you need to note on, be very conversant with. So once that is done, you need to also again have a brand niche for yourself. For example, what brand name do we want to call ourselves? Is it, just find a name, a catchy name, come together, find a brand name because today branding is so powerful within the sector that is what they will know you for. And what I keep advising the new agricultural talents or the new agripreneurs out there is that, look, you have an advantage more than your father that have been in the industry or the elders that have been in the industry before, because then there were limitations in terms of branding, there were limitations in terms of identification. They just do it because they want to do it, they do it because they don't understand the business, they do it because it's a culture for them. But now we have two things together. We have a culture and we have a business. So you must bring both together and form a stronger investment for yourself, so that even if anybody that probably wants to invest in your business can see something tangible they can place their money on and invest in. But it depends on how you're able to brand yourself and pick yourself from the shops and make it a reality for yourself. So that's the first thing you need to identify in terms of organizing yourself, in terms of branding as a person. Okay. My time is going, Abby. Okay, so just to quickly wrap it up, what I want to say to wrap it up, everything is this. Please do not go into the sector because other people are going into it. Go into the sector by identifying your passion first. When I mean passion, which value chain do you want to venture in? Not everybody will produce. Not everybody will go to the farm. Not everybody will plant. But you can identify all the value chain, pick one, and be a master of the value chain. Give yourself a 2-3 years time, then see yourself shine and become a master in that specific value chain you have picked. Thank you very much, and I hope that this conversation has helped my audience. Thank you to the organizers. My name is Alabi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alabi. To be honest, I have a lot of questions. It's very interesting that you talk about about identifying where exactly in the value chain that you want to play. So, quick story. So, my mom is a farmer among several other things, and one of the things she does is she sells gari. She processes gari. So, at some point, this whole thing was something that I had to tell her. I told her, Mommy, you have to identify. You have a farm. You have acres of land. Are you planting the cassava? Are you processing the cassava into gari? Are you packaging and marketing to people to sell? Are you exporting? And we needed to have all this conversation because you cannot play in every sector of the value chain. You will just end up stressing yourself and realizing this thing is not profitable. So there's a very, very crucial need to identify where exactly you need to play in the value chain. Then there was also something else that you mentioned. I have a question for you. Then that before you ventured into agriculture, like you did a research and you found out that agriculture is the sector that can, that can really create employment. I have a question for you, right? Currently in Nigeria, agriculture is the sector that employs the maximum number of people. However, we haven't seen a ripple effect in terms of economic growth, in terms of actual economic development. So what would you say is the problem? Agriculture currently employs, the largest percentage of people currently. However, this is not translatable to economic growth and the kind of economic development that we need to take. So what would you say is, what would you say is the missing gap? What do we need to start doing differently?
Okay, so this is it. You see, we're still facing an issue of what I call perception of the industry. So it means that most youths today still have that perception and mentality that there is no profit. or there is no business-oriented venture within the ecosystem. But it's not their fault again. A simple instance is this. You see, when an agric student finished from university after spending 5 years, don't be shocked that that student will come back to Lagos and start selling perfumes, start selling clothes, start selling some other things. So there's a deviation totally from what he has studied. And it's not his or her fault. It's because there is no value chain that can accommodate him strong enough. A typical example is this. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the fintech industry. You know, the likes of the Paga, the likes of the Flutter Wave, InterSwitch, and that. That is a big industry. And they've been able to get there because fintech has been able to create what we call systematic hubs. So fintech, so most times within Lagos, you have several hubs that provide solutions, you know, to challenges around the financial ecosystem. So it means that you see all these Flutter Waves and the likes were birthed via a financial hub. So a group of minds came together, identify a problem within the financial ecosystem, and provide a solution. And those solutions transformed into a company. And now today they are multinational, and you know their work base is in billions of dollars. The same thing that we preach can also be applied to the agri ecosystem. So what I mean is this: is that time for private investors who are interested in the ecosystem, develop simple hubs that can identify what are the challenges within the agri space. If it's finance, okay, let's bring these minds together. What can we create that provide solutions for farmers within the financial sector? If it's insurance, bring these minds together via an hub. So these minds will think and create, because you can't learn everything from the four walls of a school. You need to go to a reserved place, learn via a hub, create a solution. And the solution is what an investor will see and buy into. These are what they saw in likes of Flutter Waves, InterSwitch, MasterCard, Remita, and the likes, before they have investment that will buy into that. And today they've transformed itself into a multinational company. The same thing can be applied to the agri sector. And that is why we are not making so much success within the sector. Reason because we have not created that center point whereby minds, like minds, can aggregate together, think and provide solution that will help grow the sector. That is just the challenge we're facing. And if that can be tackled with much more private sector players, definitely we'll be far, far ahead. That is what is happening in Canada. Canada today has the biggest in terms of agri-tech hubs. You know, different solutions today within agri-tech is found in Canada. Same thing as UK, as Israel. That is what they've done. Identify what the problem is, bring these minds together, and boom, investor comes. So that's why you see them getting a lot of funds, you know, coming into the agri sector. Microsoft can fund agriculture, but they need to find a solution. There's a problem they must tackle before you can have Microsoft, you know, come into it, have likes of MasterCard come into it, have likes of other international, you know, donor agencies. But they need to provide a center point solution to solve a particular problem. I hope I've been able to answer your question.